Everybody, it's your boy Built for Anything, and on this video we're going to talk about a movie that's on Netflix right now that has been getting a lot of buzz, particularly in the vegan community. And I did some research on the movie after watching it, and I felt it was necessary for me to make a video about it. Now, first thing I want to mention is that one of the directors, the main director, Bong Joon-ho. Hopefully, I'm saying it right. He directed this film. It takes place in South Korea. A lot of great visuals in this. A lot of great CGI as well. It has to do with a young girl named Maija, who builds a connection with an animal, a pig, that was genetically modified, genetically produced, an oversized, what they call super pig, that she built a bond with, and through her naivete, she didn't realize that the purpose for that pig, the fate of that pig, was that it was going to be slaughtered for food. So I'm going to show you just a little bit of the movie. Just play the beginning so you can see the pig as well as the young girl. Now I'm gonna pause it right here. As you can see, when anybody who's ever had a pet before, okay, obviously animals don't speak English, and so their way of communication is body language. Body language. They make certain sounds. Most animals, when they have a bond with other animals or even with human beings, they tend to show affection, right? Which is rubbing up against you, or just wanting to be close. Like most animals are naturally pack animals. They tend to want to be around other animals or just people, right? In general, they don't like to feel alone. They can be depressed, particularly dogs, of that way. And so what I like about this scene is that they start off by first introducing the animal, which is called OKJA, and it's showing you how she's trying to just gain the attention of the young girl, but at the same time, understanding her size, she doesn't try to overwhelm the young girl as well, right? So this scene right here is actually 10 years later, all right, and I want to start off by saying the biggest part of this movie, what the director was really going for, was that he was trying to depict basically the capitalism that goes on with companies that basically try to mass produce through GMOs, just products that we don't really need, right? Just for greed, and he's really trying to depict greed in this movie. I don't think, even though it connects with animal activists as well as vegans like myself, I'm not sure if that was his particular aim per se. I don't think that, I just in my research, I don't think that was really his approach. I think he was aiming more on showing you how corporations and what their motivations are, and basically how they care more about the money, right, as opposed to the livelihood of people, or even not even care about the livelihood of the animals that are going through these really, really bad conditions in order to basically just make it to your plate, right? So I'm going to skip forward and show you guys a scene where you really get to see how the corporations, what their bigger picture is. Because this animal, OKJA, is one of 10 original pigs that was sent out to different farms, and their job is to raise these pigs in these conditions. So they send them to some of the best farmers out there to try to get them big, try to get them fat, and then 10 years later they come and they grab the animals, and then they basically bring them into a plantation, slaughter them, sell them, and sell them to people as the best meat out there. Now that is actually, that's interesting because it goes back, it really connects with what goes on today. A lot of what's going on right now is that we're chasing this unbelievable high, right? And everybody wants the best something, the best car. There's always going to be, the best food. Now we're looking for the best meats. And so they're trying to introduce this new meat into the society, and also they're aiming at the more affluent clientele that can afford to pay a premium for this kind of meat. Okay, so I'm going to fast forward and I'm going to show you what some of the dialogue is with these corporations.
Local farmer will raise the biggest and most beautiful and special one, the ultimate super pig.
She's head of a company, I think it's called Morando, in here, which to me it's funny because it really sounds like another company that goes around here that sells a lot of GMOs, which is Monsanto. And I've done a video talking about them. GMOs are not natural. People, they're not. These are genetically modified organisms. And why they're growing in such popularity is because we have such a deficit right now, and we're basically, destroying the planet. And so they're trying to basically recreate Mother Nature, and you just can't. There's something very innate about Mother Nature and how things just work, right? And once we get involved and we try to play God in some sense and try to genetically modify animals, make clones, and we're messing with the planet and the earth, there's going to be bad repercussions as a result of that. So this lady who you just saw plays she's basically the head, the face of that company, and she's basically letting, she's pitching to her shareholders or, her people, saying that there's this contest going on in 10 years, whoever has the biggest pig and is chosen, they're basically going to make a spectacle out of it. And during that time of the 10 years, they're going to be offering these quote unquote super meats. Okay, so I'm gonna try to fast forward to another scene where you get to see. This is where we start to introduce the animal activists, and I think this is what really also connects with a lot of vegans as well. See, in this scene right here, it shows that the young girl is finally realizing what is going to happen to her, the pig that they've been raising, OKJA. And the reason why I find this scene to be significant is that I truly believe that kids today, or the way we were raised, have a lot to do with the way we are now. I always find it interesting when people are telling me, don't force me to eat this, or don't force me to eat that, or I'm going to do what I want. And what people don't understand is that from the time you were born, you were being told what to do. From the time you were born, you were told what to eat, you were told what to drink, and a lot of those habits are the reason why you are the way you are today. You did not come out the womb and say, get me a steak. You didn't come out the womb and say, I need a chicken breast. Get me some wings. You didn't do that, right? Mother and father, or whoever, from the beginning, started giving you milk, started giving you cheese, started giving you chicken and meat and beef. And what you're seeing in this scene is that she's now realizing, or what was being told to her by her father, is what really goes on in this world, what really goes on. And I believe that if most people really truly understand or knows what goes on behind closed doors, more and more people would not would not, or would at least think twice about some of the foods that they are eating and the unnecessary, and how unnecessary the cruelty really, really is. Okay, so in this scene, she's highly, highly upset. Okay, let me pause it right there. If you notice, she's like, "Come in peace. We come in peace." This. I don't know how to feel about this because at first when I watched it, this was a movie that I didn't do any research prior to it. It came on my Netflix. I heard people talking about it, and I just jumped right in. And I wasn't too sure who these people were, but come to find out, they're basically animal activists. And the reason why this is significant is because you have a lot of people out there who they believe very, very strongly in what it is that they believe in. I feel like for as long as I can remember, there's always been some form of activism, right? You have people that talk about Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, just various different groups over the years that were set up for a particular cause. And if you notice, when it comes to animal activism, they get a bad rap because people look and they say, "How could you possibly care so much about these animals that you would stand on the corner, or you would hold up a sign all day, or you would have a special day for the animals?" And a lot of people just don't get it. And what they have to understand is that it goes back to, I'm going to say slavery as an example. I'm not trying to compare and say it's the exact same thing, but what I'm trying to say is that when you look back, the reason why slavery was what it was, or any form of genocide was what it was, is because some way, somehow, they got other people to look at a certain group of people and diminish their value. Some way along the line, someone had to say to a Caucasian person that a black person was beneath you. Someone had to say that, oh, a Jewish person is beneath you. And I think when we start to devalue human beings, or the same way we devalue animals, we feel like we have some sort of superiority over them, then that's where the issues lie. And that's why I make that comparison, really just to show you that the same way during those times, there was a revolution. We got to a certain point where we said slavery was bad. We got to a certain point where we said people should not be treated this way. It's the same way people feel now when it comes to animals, because they realize that these animals, they have their own feelings, they have their own families, they just want to be left alone. They don't have a voice just because they can't speak. We basically devalue them. We say you're simply food or entertainment, right? Or even companions. These are all things that we impose on them. And so when you see, as I'm watching this movie and I see that these group of individuals come together, and for this cause, it just reminds me of what, it had me thinking about veganism. It had me thinking about animal activists and just any type of activism, and how people just looked at them like they're terrorists. They look at them like they're just completely crazy, when it's not. There's nothing crazy about being compassionate. There's nothing crazy about wanting to do the least amount of harm. There's nothing crazy about that. And so, again, watching this movie, you'll see the extremes that this organization is willing to go to try to save and stop this company, Morando or /Monsanto, or just animal agriculture, and they're fighting an uphill battle. Basically, it's a real uphill battle. Here's the connection here with what goes on today. See, big companies, it's all about money, right? I say that all the time. I always say that, corporations, businesses are designed to make profits, right? It's all about profits and losses. That's it. And what you see here is that the corporation is looking at it as, how can we make this? They're so disillusioned, right? They feel like, how can they want to believe they're doing the right thing. They want to believe that by creating these animals and mass producing them, that somehow they're doing something good, right? They're supplying food for people. And that's the same thing with today. You have companies like Monsanto, you have, these animal agriculture places that feel like the foods that they're producing is, they're providing this food for everyone because there's such a high demand. And that's just all wrong. What we're doing today with animal agriculture, animal agriculture emits more gas into this environment than any single form of transportation. That is cars, planes, trains, you name it. Okay? And by doing so, you talk about there's a direct connection between animal agriculture as well as climate change, and people trying to find solutions. Listen, we're the ones who's destroying the planet. We're the ones that are making it like this. And so I find that one solution that we can do for these, when it comes to these companies, use milk as an example. I don't know who is still eating whole milk. I mean, vegan or non-vegan. Like, I just don't get that. I run into a lot of people who, they say that they don't like whole milk, which they shouldn't. It has a lot of pus in it. It's just not healthy. It's not good for you. There's no reason why human beings should be eating animal breast milk. It's ridiculous. But I find when I go into supermarkets, interestingly enough, I hardly see like whole milk or what is it, 2% and all of that. I don't really see that in the forefront. What you see now is that you see a lot of almond milk. You see coconut milk. You see soy milk. You see rice milk. You see hemp milk. You see all the different options: sweetened, unsweetened, chocolate almond milk, vanilla almond milk. Like, there's so many different options there that I'm saying to myself, I'm going to assume that the reason why they're doing that is because business must be slowing up for that whole milk. I feel like the same thing has to happen with me. Because these companies, like what's being showed on OKJA, they just care about the money. That's it. They just care about what is good for business. All right? And if it ain't good for business, they're not going to do it. So we have control over this. That's why I feel like, there should be more supermarkets that are simply plant-based. There should be more restaurants that are simply plant-based. That culture needs to be there so people can understand that there are alternatives. All right? You don't have to keep killing yourself. You don't have to keep eating these foods that are just doing you no good, you, the planet, or the animals. See, here's another scene that I'm going to play a little bit, where it shows one of the workers who work there and how just out of his mind he is. He's drunk, and he's having to do these cruel things to these animals, and I feel like it's taking a toll on him. And the connection here is that when you look into animal agriculture now, they say that a lot of the people who have to do these killings, the ones that work on these farms or work in these institutions that kill these animals, they themselves end up being totally turned off to eating meat because they see what happens firsthand. And that's the biggest thing. People don't realize what goes on behind closed doors. They don't want to see it. Because if you see it, then and you acknowledge it, then you have to ask yourself a question: how do I continue to play a part in this? How can I continue to contribute to this? And it plays on your psyche. It just does. You know, any sane person, any person who's compassionate, any person who has a direct connection with any living thing is going to feel something and is going to say to themselves, I don't know if this is right. Is this really necessary? And this is basically what, you know, you see how it's kind of taking a toll on this guy.
Lucy Miranda says I'm not supposed to harm you in here. Well, at least not visibly. She wants you perfect for her big telecast.
Let me tell you, Jake Gyllenhaal does an amazing job in this. By the way, when you think about the roles that this guy has done, man, fantastic. Like he's a fantastic actor. I judge actors just by taking on roles that are just completely different from what they've done in the past. And some of the movies that I've seen that he's done, he's done a really, really great job. So again, I'm not gonna play this entire scene, but again, I just wanted to highlight the fact that, you know, there's a lot of people who work for these companies that see what goes on, and obviously at the end of the day, they have to put food on the table. They have to be able to provide for themselves. That they're conflicted every single day. You know, if you've ever done a job where you felt conflicted, where it went against your spirit, it's going to be hard. It's going to take its toll on you over time. And so, you know, I'm going to stop it here. I want you guys to go and watch this movie. It's a really good movie. Like I said, it's great visuals. But again, I couldn't watch this and not make that connection. And so I wanted to do a video just from my perspective, you know, hoping that you guys can when you do watch this movie, that you really understand, you know, what's going on. Even though I know that wasn't the director's main purpose, but it still make the connection. You know, really try to make the connection. You know, we got to just try to do better, guys. We got to do better.